online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after-shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. That sound, of course, means we're letting it build up until the chorus.
Leave the mystery alive. I like it.
Coming in, coming in. You know it's rain. There we go. What a good song.
It is.
I mean, who knew?
It's the best.
Season 2, episode 13. Wow, it's been 13 episodes. The Sins of Our Past. What a great episode. I am your host, Phil Svitek, joined alongside JB Zimmerman.
Yes. Team Royal Bros.
That's
edition.
Right. That's right. And of course, you can follow along with us on Twitter at ABTV Reign, JB_Zimmerman.
Yep.
And I am, just follow me at AfterBuzz TV. I have a personal Twitter, but I don't use it. Keaton is not here today because it is her birthday, of all things. Congratulations.
Happy birthday, Keaton.
She's finally 21. She can actually have a beer. We're going to go celebrate with her a little bit later after this. And if you haven't done so, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/AfterBuzzTV. It's that simple. Or you like the audio versions better, SoundCloud, iTunes, just search AfterBuzz TV. Heck, just search Reign AfterBuzz. Yeah. And you'll get us. And while we're on it, just tell a friend. I'm sure your friends love Reign. We love Reign. We love talking about Reign. So let them know that we're here every week. All right. Overall thoughts, JB Zimmerman.
Great episode. Great episode. I mean, perfect for the Team Royal Bros edition. The kind of
sets of bros.
Yeah. Of both Royal Bros going at it. Obviously, my Team Royal Bros is the real ones, Francis and Bash.
The only ones.
Exactly. The only thing I was missing was Bash never uncovered what happened to his mom. I mean, maybe that is later to come, like a little foreshadowing, but I mean, that was crazy to end on that last episode.
Yeah.
But, you know, it was great to see that he and Kenna kind of kept things going. You know, their relationship was threatened.
Yeah.
The other less royal bro was trying to encroach, trying to swoop in.
Yeah, we saw, you know, it was a nice balance of politics, personal drama, and lovemaking. Indeed
it was.
You know, so a lot of things happened in there. Let's start with kind of Kenna and Bash, you know, and by the way, what's nice, you know, we try to start with the smallest things first and kind of build, but every one of these things, you know, it starts off like a small thing, but it ties so deeply into the other things.
Right. I mean, I think that's why this show is so good, because even what seems like minutia and small details kind of is a part of this global thing for them. I mean, everything connects to each other, and everyone's relationship kind of weaves back, connecting more people. It's like a spider web of just intense drama. It's awesome.
And, you know, starting off with Kenna and Bash, as soon as he comes back, the whole story he was saying, it was a nice story, but it was the equivalent of a backhanded compliment.
Right. He was just like
that's not, you're calling me a okay, I'm a monster. I get where you're going with this, but I don't like that. Right. So I found that was funny. Yeah,
I mean, he's definitely rough around the edges when it comes to communication, but at the same time, Kenna, you know, has short sides in terms of long term, like how things affect the greater good, I guess. I mean, in the long term, mostly. Yeah. So they kind of work as a good pair in that sense, like where they, I feel like, can help each other. Kenna's really, you know, about talking and getting things out there. She's not really afraid of anything in terms of conversation.
That's true. but with her husband, that's fine, right?
Right.
With Bash. The problem is with Antwon.
Ooh, yeah, it can't be too much. It can't be
you
too
know,
much.
and so especially in this kind of game, like, first off, it's just creepy enough when you say, so tell me about your husband when you're trying to pursue a woman. It comes off creepy. Now, obviously, he has a deeper motive, but Kenna, red flag should kind of go up, and you know, especially, yes, you're mad at your husband, and he's mad at you perhaps, and you're asking for forgiveness, but you know he's going to eventually give it to you because that's just Bash. So why are you even placating to this?
Well, I mean, to me, it was just slight naiveness, I guess.
But that's what led to the first problem.
Yeah,
was naiveness. So, like, can she really not learn?
I think she can. I mean, I think she's more just, you know, that's how she has been treated in this very historical docu-series that we have here.
Of course.
You know, I think she does get kind of swept up in people's charm and things. I mean, she definitely did so with the king. Not that that's a bad thing, but, you know, it is difficult to kind of know what's really going on when people are always sort of playing you in some way. Like, they're always charming her, and I think that she's used to that. And so that's why when Antwon was doing it, it kind of seemed a little bit more natural and maybe not, and that's why it wasn't such a red flag. You know, that so many people always
I mean,
are around her like that.
I'll give her the benefit of the doubt in the sense that, you know, she doesn't know what's going on politically much of the time, unfortunately, but certainly in this time. And, you know, so she's looking at this as Conde's brother, and he's, you know, the queen likes Conde, and yes, they kind of have to separate a little bit, but, you know, it's okay to be nice to them because of that pre-existing relationship.
Right.
So that's why I can buy it. So.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I mean, and I think that her intentions are good. Like, when she was being questioned sort of at the ball, or not really questioned, Antwon, I feel like, was digging very strategically. And, you know, that I don't really fault her for, because she kind of took a defend Bash position, and he got information that way. Which is pretty sneaky. I mean, it was sneaky
enough that he got drunk.
Right. But he kind of had a moment at the end of that where I don't know if he kind of came to out of his drunkenness, or if he was really kind of putting on an act to get info out of Bash.
I think he was putting on an act.
Yeah. I mean, giving Antwon a lot of credit there, but he definitely made a face where it was like, yeah, okay, I got what I wanted from that. Like, I got info that you knew about that specific place and, like, how far away it was from the cliffs. He definitely got information out of Bash for sure.
Yeah. And that's why it's one of those things, you know, as we're talking about Kenna and her demons, the only thing that I would differentiate between the two is that hers directly affected Bash, or could have.
Right.
But, you know, Bash needs to realize he's not without his own demons.
Absolutely. And that was a time before they were going to be together. I mean, her world was completely different. Had she done something like that and they were married or something, that would be a completely different story. But, you know, she didn't think she'd be where she is now when those decisions were making. Like, her reality was just her and the king and preserving that.
Absolutely. And that's why, I mean, let's go to tonight. Bash failed to save a life.
I know.
Granted, he was kind of...
he's a bit outnumbered.
Well, he's a bit outnumbered, and the dude was pretty crazy, or Greek guy.
Right.
So I don't know how much hope he had.
Yeah, and, I mean, this whole woman in white thing, I mean, is that the new darkness? Or, I guess,
Clarissa.
the plague? Yeah, or is she back?
Who knows?
If it is her, I wonder how she got such a clean white getup. But you never know. I mean, she could have just swooped that from someone.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. It's whenever you know they play so well, and it's always so irritating in a good way. Of like, wait, is there this sort of realism, or is it more of the spirits and things like that?
Right.
And I never know how to take it.
Well, I mean, it's kind of a fun roller coaster to take. Like, it does get a little bit more mystical, but I really appreciate that they do bring it back to reality. This is a docuseries after all. So even with the things going on with Catherine, like they did bring, like this episode, we saw that come back to a more realistic cause. I mean, the Bible was poison. That's why she was kind of going crazy and maybe causing her visions, which is similar to King Henry. He had the same thing going on.
And especially, and that's why it's so funny. The more and more towards the end, Henry was finding God.
Right.
And the more he found God, the more he was poisoning himself.
Exactly. So it does kind of all add up to something grounded in reality, which I really appreciate.
Yeah. And, speaking of that, obviously, Claude doesn't know the truth yet. She does, but they haven't found their peace, certainly. She's enjoying this, as Catherine says, a little too much.
She is. And it's nice that, at least with her interactions with Narcisse, she kind of gets put back in her place. I think she was having fun, sort of her 15 minutes of fame, so to speak, on top, like getting back at Catherine. But, her character is so flawed that it's difficult to root for her for too long. So it's like, yeah, okay, you got back. Now, like, pump the brakes here. We're only going to let you have so much. And so it was great to see her try to pull rank on Narcisse, and he just shut her down, basically, and was like, nope.
Yeah. And I thought, I was interested, just kind of as a tangent real fast, because we'll talk about Lola certainly more in depth, but I thought he would have tried to get back with Lola, and I would have been interested to see what Lola did at that moment.
Right. Well, hopefully that is to come. I think he legitimately has feelings for Lola just because she is a smarter adversary than he's used to dealing with. So, it'll be interesting if he does try to pull his tricks again. She did see him, and I don't think that he will anticipate her knowing about his brief interaction with Claude.
Yeah. Well, by the way, real fast too, since again we're kind of going all over the place because it all ties together and it's so tough sometimes. But in terms of Catherine and Narcisse, obviously Narcisse has motives to get back into a position of power, and if he's doing that through Catherine, it's a smart play. But I like he's getting results.
Right.
He gets results, and you got to appreciate that's because we've seen that side to him, but we've always hated it because it's been results against
right. His
Francis
timing
and Mary
is impeccable. He's just always at the right place at the right time.
Yeah, well, that's the best people. They make their opportunity.
True. Very true.
So.
Do you see any specific goal he might have to kind of linger around Catherine's wing of the castle? Other than power. Obviously, I think he's trying to use anything he can to kind of elevate his position. He's kind of in a bind with Francis being his workhorse now.
Yeah.
So maybe, that's reason enough for sure.
I think if he can sort of, I don't know if the rationale is if he can showcase that that he can get results and he can be an amazing ally, and as dark as each other's goals may be, we should then that might have to be it.
Right.
And it's better to have Narcisse on our side versus the English or Navarre or anything like that.
Right. And it's sort of a similarity between he and Catherine is that they're both not almost expendable now. They're kind of on the outskirts of the main royalty, so they're both sort of at whim for Marion and Francis. I think they kind of have that in common and may need to bind together to save each other if that comes up.
Absolutely. So that'll be interesting how it goes, and because they're so. What's nice about them is they're both blunt, and as he says, they've both played the game long enough,
right?
And
They're very experienced.
So
for sure.
you know, to see them play, if you know, they're going to be so truthful that it's going to be absolutely hurtful at times, or they'll play a fun game.
No, it's fun to watch them. I mean,
Absolutely.
they are sort of the only characters that have played for that long and have the experience. So it's great. I mean, I love Narcisse's interactions with everybody. I mean, he just charms his way through, and he's like James Bond basically of the Middle Ages.
So speaking of that, let's talk about him and Lola, because you know, hey, after you're done getting bored, there's nothing better in the winter than a hot than a hot spring. So bring some boots that'll take me extra time to take off. It's straight up the best innuendos ever. Yeah. Oh man, that's got to still work on women today, right, Keen? It's working on her right now. Happy 21st birthday,
Narcisse
Keen.
right now.
Yeah.
Just popping out of the birthday cake.
Oh man, jeez, poor Keen. Send her some tweeter. Anyway, so obviously Lola sees kind of what's going on with Claude, and there's they didn't really do much to hide it, and it's pretty apparent what they're doing. They're not just talking. It's one thing, you know, we've seen people kind of see each other in vulnerable positions in the sense of they're looking at each other and whatever else, but this is like they were embraced.
Yes, very embraced for sure. I mean, that's putting it lightly.
You know, but I also like how Kenna pokes fun at it. She's like, well, if you didn't have any interest, it wouldn't be bothering you, would it?
Right. And yeah, I think she does like, I mean, she's kind of in an interesting position because of obviously her child. Like, her range of suitors is pretty small. You know, I think that she is very extra intrigued almost by anyone who would kind of look past that, because it would mean that their own reputation would be affected. So, you know, I think the pool for people who are eligible is small. And so, you know, any potential interest, Narcisse, Condé, you know, she really does think more about.
Yeah.
And just that excitement. I mean, she's a mom now. Her days are probably very different, centered around the first like semi-royal mini bro. But, you know, I think she looks out for excitement. I mean, I see the same thing with Kenna. You know, they're stuck in this castle. It's winter time. There's not a lot to do.
And whereas before, you know, you know, if you look at season 1, there was so much interaction with them. And by the way, we haven't even talked about Greer because,
right,
you know, so much
off.
Yeah, and so much happened that, you know, I didn't even notice her being gone until I just spoke it. But she's out of the picture, and so now you have Lola and Kenna and Mary. But each of them, their lives are building, and so they have less time for each other. And so, you know, for Lola, well, I mean, they all get bored, you know.
Right.
So
it's just interesting to see how their lives kind of get bigger, but yet come back. I mean, with Greer, when things were going well, with Castleroy, they kind of got out of the picture as well too. So and then it's interesting to see how they weave characters back in a way and then back again.
And you know, I liked Condé. You know, Lola's talking about she loves predictability and all these different things, and of course here comes Condé, who just said he hates to dance, and here he is asking for her to dance, and you know, I feel like there was a couple things cut out of this episode. I feel like we spoke about the moment where Antwon got drunk. I feel like something was cut in between there because Bash basically went from the murder of the guy to just being there. Right. And then in this instance in particular, I felt there should have been a moment where Mary sees this and she's affected by it in some sort of way, because they just had that big blowout. But you know, and that's ultimately why he's asking for her to dance with him. Lola.
Yeah. I mean, that part was very abrupt, I think. And it's interesting to see those two brothers kind of almost opposites. I mean, maybe they were the same, or I don't know. I just see Conde made a pretty big transformation, and he's trying to find where he is now, kind of the balance. Yeah. Now that his brother's back, he sees the divide really coming out like to the forefront, and he's got to deal with that. So
yeah,
that's very interesting to see.
Absolutely. So you know, we'll see what kind of happens there. So let's we're kind of moving slowly but surely into the Antwon's storyline. So you know, so you just spoke about the difference of brothers, right? And so he's being torn, Conde's being torn one way or the other. But ultimately, you know, it's weird because that's exactly where he lies, is in the middle. You know,
right.
he's and you have Antwon, who, as Francis puts it, has ambition.
He does, and they are brothers. I mean, it'll be interesting to see, because, you know, I don't know. I wonder what would happen if Mary and Francis do, like, have a more permanent separation, because then, you know, it really would come into question, would he choose someone that he does love versus someone that, like, his brother's family? You know, will that be more of a, I mean, obviously it would be more of a conflict, but it'll be interesting to see him deal with that. I mean, is he actually falling for Lola? They definitely had a few moments this episode, I think, that were legitimate.
Yeah. I think, you know, I think that'll certainly come into play, and I what I'm most curious about, because I don't think it affects things too much in the sense of where we're going, but had Antwon come in and been, you know, because he you know, as he said, when you're honest, it can be a little bit awkward,
right? But
had he said, like, hey, listen, Elizabeth has come to me, and, you know, she wants to station her troops. I need money. You know, let's figure this. Obviously, I want to be loyal to you, but in order for, you know, at one way, shape, or form, Navarre needs money, and so you can either help me out, or I might have to go with Elizabeth, instead of, like, making up this whole excuse about Protestants and all that.
Right.
So I feel like I wonder if he would have gotten better results, so to speak, even though it's still not good with what's happening, because regardless, the end result is that Mary and Francis and all of France has to deal with crazy Elizabeth, who's right now on the attack.
Yeah, I wonder, I really want to see, like, that whole side of things. Maybe that's a season 3 thing. But
well, we know we're getting Elizabeth. At least that's what Keaton keeps saying. So, you know, I feel like maybe right towards the end of this season we're going to see her, and then season 3, that's going to be the cliffhanger.
I hope so. It's too bad they can't just text her and be like, hey, we shouldn't be enemies. Just you stay over where you are. We're going to chill over here.
Well, you could see it from her perspective, and all the more reason. It's like, okay, you can go with the devil you hate, or the devil you hate, or the devil you don't know, whatever you want to call it. And so Narcisse is our devil here, and he got, like I said, he got that information fast, and, you know, he can probably strategize and win this war if need be. But at what cost?
Yeah, no, seriously. I mean, it's kind of between a rock and a hard place at this point. I mean, Francis, I feel like doing the Henry Catherine thing to do would probably be kill Antwon, honestly. Or kind of get him into a submission position where they can overpower whatever he decides to do. But I think that threat of... what's the region they're from? And the Conde brothers?
Oh, Navarre.
Yeah, Navarre, exactly. I feel like that threat is not going to go away. Even if they do give in to the demands and give them money, I think it's still always going to be a lingering thing, because just those characters are power hungry.
Yeah. But, I don't know if this is a strategy. I don't know if even if it was a strategy, the strategy would work. But maybe you do have some of the French Protestants go there and be able to kind of create some sort of peace, be a sort of barrier, and if nothing else, report back to France of, hey, here's what's happening.
Right. Well, that's why if Conde actually married Lola, like things would, I feel like that would be the most diplomatic thing.
Would it?
I mean, they're completely tied to the French court at that point.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
he's now stepdad to like the semi-prince.
I don't know quite how the rules work. So, but
that'd be interesting.
It would be.
The writers definitely find a way to kind of thicken the plot for sure with how everybody is intertwined.
Absolutely. And so it'll be interesting how this whole Italian war, the sins of the past, really does come to fruition, and where we're going to go with that.
Yeah, I mean, I would love more characters. I believe we had the Italians in a few episodes a while back.
Yeah. We've never had Greeks, so we finally got some Greeks.
I know, yes. Well, for a short time, he
didn't stay much
Yeah,
longer.
he didn't last too long.
So we'll find out. Anything else that we might have missed while talking about tonight? That that's just jumping out at you. And again, it's one of those things that's so tough, especially if you're just kind of navigating any which way, as we sometimes tend to do.
Indeed. I mean, there's so much that happened, and kind of most of it always ties back to things that have happened in the past. So it's I don't know, it's an interesting thing to talk about. We no doubt have forgotten something I definitely want to talk about, but I'm really excited to get to Castle Corner too. So
all right, so let's we don't have
actually one last thing I do remember.
Go ahead.
The end, Mary and Francis.
Yes, we have to talk about that.
That was close, yeah.
Because we're almost buying it's the equivalent of buying a new house.
I know.
And they're proposing that, and it's going to save the marriage, and they have no choice but not to do that. And worse, here's Mary, who's kind of getting comfortable. She let him inside the bed.
I know. We took many steps forward, and now we're taking a few steps back. It's too bad.
And, it's one of those, I'm going to start using them. We can't date because I love you. That's going to be my number one rejection.
Yeah.
To ladies. And Mary just seems so set that they can't find happiness. I don't know of a time in history where it's not going to be difficult.
Right.
And especially when you're a king and there's this type of power involved, there's always going to be someone out for your position.
Right.
So there was always going to be a fairy tale that you're going to live this amazing life and just, have kids and, I don't know, distribute money to the poor. Like, what did you think was going to be the role?
Right. It's frustrating in a lot of ways because, there are always going to be obstacles. It's never going to be perfect. I think that the issue right now with Mary and Francis is probably the most frustrating because I think that they both want it to work, but just there's certain obstacles that there is no fix for. And that's what sucks the most is Francis, like there's nothing Francis can do other than, wait and just be patient.
Yeah.
And try to help work it out slowly. I wish there were like you can't just like send Bash and be like kill this guy.
Yeah.
Problem solved. So that's the most frustrating thing. There are a lot of other things attacking them. Navarre, the looming England threat that I think that they can take on pretty much head on. But this one, it's like,
yeah, it's tough.
It's tearing them apart too, which is the worst.
Indeed, it is. But what's tearing us apart? Keaton was supposed to submit a video, and we were gonna have a little fun with it. But she did not submit this video, and so now she's left me to do Castle Corner by myself. I'm doing a castle she has pre-picked for me based off of her notes, so this is not my choice. Not that it's not a good choice.
Well,
it's
we'll
just
see.
I'm not coming off as an expert as I would have liked. So, Castle Corner, everybody. This is for Castle Rhodes. The island of Roses, or Rhodes, is famous for its historic medieval town, great shopping, and the site of the Colossus of Rhodes, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world.
Nice. And where is it located?
The island of Rhodes.
Well, where? Yeah. You mentioned that. Thank you. Where is the island of Rhodes?
This is, of course, in Greece, which Keaton had no knowledge of this. But what better timing than the episode where we have our first Greek?
Perfect.
And I believe there is a photo of this, something of the Colossus. Again, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world.
Nice. Now,
Castle Rhodes was built within the old town walls at the beginning of the 13th century CE, for Common Era.
Of course.
By the Knights of St. John of Jerusalem. The palace was built in the early 14th century by the Knights of Rhodes, who controlled Rhodes and some other Greek islands from 1309 to 1522 to the Grand Master of the Order. After the island was captured by the Ottoman Empire, the palace was used as a command center and a fortress. And I believe we have a photo of that as well.
Nice. Let's pull that up.
The building is comprised of 205 rooms and a conference area that hosts summits for European world leaders. Today attracts visitors from around the world at its houses, as it houses Archaeological Museum of Rhodes. Rhodes today is one of the most popular tourist destinations in Europe.
Not surprised with a reputation like that.
I mean, it's Greece. Everyone loves to go to Greece. So,
yeah, I've not been, but I've heard only the best of things. I definitely want to next time.
You know, CW needs to do. We need a budget for us to take Castle Corner around.
Right.
Here we are at the actual castle. Taking you on a tour.
Yeah, no, that actually would be awesome to see, like a behind the scenes of where they film. I mean, they shoot on these awesome locations. It would be great to see them travel. I mean, everything pretty much takes place in court. I'd like to see them go to England or somewhere else. You know, why don't
the woods is as far as
yeah, exactly. Past the woods. I mean, Bash makes it to various cabins across the land, but
yeah, I feel like we spent a lot of budget on Francis, his eyes bleeding out.
Yeah, I mean, those effect that was actually pretty crazy.
That was a good effect. All right, so hope you guys enjoyed Castle Corner. Keaton will hopefully deliver it next week for you guys, much better than I can, especially when I'm not really as prepared, because she did the research and then she was supposed to do it, and then I get the word that she didn't do it. So anyway, we'll drink tonight. So you owe us a round, even though it's your birthday. All right, predictions.
Ooh.
And now your AFTERBUZZ TV predictions.
All right,
predictions. I think it's pretty clear that Bash and Kenna are going to stay strong.
Absolutely.
I have a lot of faith in them. It's tough to see Mary and Francis kind of take a step back after I felt like we were moving so close to getting back on track.
Yeah, that's the thing. I like when they bring the politics of it, but with them, I just don't want to see the back and forth, because it will perhaps get old.
Right.
And I don't want to see that. I don't want to take that risk.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think sooner rather than later, we're going to deal with this Bible poisoning thing. There's going to be an investigation.
Next week?
Possibly next week. You know, I think if it was the Navarre Royal Bros, I hope it was masterminded by Antwon without Conde's knowledge as much.
But
I mean, maybe he knew but wasn't involved and just kind of was a passer.
We'll find out, because, I mean, it can go pretty deep. And as much as we've liked Conde, he could have a hand in this. And it would be really interesting if it was more him without Antwon's knowledge.
Right.
And then Antwon would say, hey, well, that's amazing. Wow, I didn't know you had that in you.
Man,
the sins of the past, you know, and maybe you just totally forgot about it. But the sins of the past are coming back to haunt him too.
Definitely. And I'm curious about this woman in white. Who is that?
Who is the woman in the white? Hashtag. Let's figure that out. Anything else? That's I feel like we've been pretty thorough for the most part. Anyway, if we've missed anything, by all means, let us know in the comment section below.
Hashtag Team Royal Bros.
Hashtag Team Royal Bros. Hashtag ABTV Reign. And just interact with us. That's why we're here. That's why we do what we do, so we can get the conversation going. But you guys always add on to it, and then it just builds and builds upon itself.
Yeah, let's continue the convo.
It's like AfterBuzz Reign and the Knights of the Reign fans.
Knights of the Reign fans. I like that.
Where can the people find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at JB_Zimmerman.
That's right. And you, the people, can also follow us here at AfterBuzz TV. And I believe it's at Keaton83. Keaton33.
I'm not sure.
Something. I know it's at Fania Thomas, and Fania will be back in March. She's just doing, she's on a pilgrimage. Let's just say. Anyway, thank you guys for joining us. Hope you guys had fun with us. We can get a little fun at times, but we can also stick to being serious when we need to. And we'll see you next Thursday along with Keaton Markey and JB Zimmerman. Yeah. Good night.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.